Hey y'all, happy Sunday. This is AL Thick Madame. I hope y'all are having a wonderful weekend. I know I'm sad that it's almost over because I gotta go to work tomorrow, but y'all, I'm sorry. I'm late. Y'all, I have to be going through. Y'all, I can barely get through normal things right about now. So you see how I look right now. It's just a lot. So I'm gonna try my best. I'm sorry in advance if it's not up to the standards that some of y'all who actually care about this review are used to. So I'm apologizing in advance. Okay, y'all. So this is what's going on games people play. So y'all know what happened last time. So all three of them are in the vehicle, meaning Nia, Layla, and Vanessa. So they're in traffic. They're in the terrible LA traffic. And it is quiet. Nothing's being said. It's very awkward. And it just gets to a point where Vanessa is in her feelings. And because it's like gridlock kind of traffic to the point where it's bumper to bumper, when something is said, Vanessa is like, B, didn't I tell you to take whatever street she told him to go, or whatever street or road she told her to go on? And that was the only thing that was said. And I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, they were going to Nia's house because that's really the only logical place that they can go at this point, outside of trying to, spend some money to go somewhere. So Layla got into the shower. At this point, she's having all kinds of flashbacks of things that have happened to her up to this point. And she's like in a really, really bad mental space. And so Vanessa and Nia are trying to figure out, where can they go from here? Like, there's just so many things that are going on. So Layla comes out, and eventually Nia asks if there's anything that she can do. She wasn't hungry. She said she couldn't really eat right now. And so she was like, well, can I use your phone? So she used her phone to see what's going on social media, if there's any updates. And that's when she finds out that Susie is dead for certain. She's in her feelings, and she's like, I'm going to be next and all this other stuff. So she's like at a loss right now. Doesn't know what she can do because it's just not looking too good right now. Because she was trying to keep hope alive, but she hadn't heard from her in a while, and it just was looking bleak anyway. So, let's see. Vanessa ended up going home, and Marcus, even though she had texted him and told him that she was okay, it's a good thing to go home. So she went home, and he was like, are you all right or whatever? And so she was like, yes, I'm fine. And, you're not going to have to worry about Layla anymore. And, she didn't go into details about all of that at the time, but she's just at a point where she's like, well, what can I do? She's kind of at their mercy. Like, I guess because of everything that happened to Susie, she's at a point where she's like, look, my life is on the line. The things that I did in order to get the fame that I now have, I kind of don't want it like that anymore. So, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to get all this heat off of me. Anyway, it got to a point where Vanessa and Marcus are talking, and then he, it was just looking at her. And so she was like, what? And so he was like, you let that hood come out of you a little bit, didn't you? Because, we saw when she was in college and how they were. And she had moments where it was like, you would think she's prissy. She is indeed prissy, but she has some hood habits. So he was like, you let them hood habits come out again, didn't you? And so she kind of smirked or whatever. And then they ended up making out. And I guess we're supposed to imply they had sex. And I'm just like, whatever, y'all. Anyway, Kareem ended up leaving when they got deeper into their conversation. And when he was leaving, we see for certain that detective, who is the main one really, really trying to have a hold on that case, and he has the reins, and he is trying to see what's going on. He's outside of the King residence, and he really wants to know the comings and goings, So anyway, Nia is on the phone talking to Terrence, and he was just letting her know, how he is. He's been letting her know like every little detail. He was like, look, the detective is still watching them, so they're not in the clear right now and all this other stuff. And so she ends up getting in her feelings and was like, well, I'm gonna get off the phone. I gotta go. I got something, else I gotta do. But what she did was she got off the phone and called her boyfriend. Y'all, guess where her boyfriend is? He's outside in a car, like a little bit up from where her apartment. So I guess like if she were to look outside from her window, he wouldn't be seen. But yeah, he's doing stalkerish type of stuff. And it's like, sir, you doing too much. I was like, really? So yeah, y'all, he is doing the most. He's sitting up there in a car, like up the street from her. And it's just so, like, he is crazy. He's acting as if he is literally in New York. Because, it's East Coast, West Coast time and all that stuff. So she's talking to him like, well, I know it's early, babe. And he was like, oh wait a minute. Trying to act like he yawned. And I was like, sir, if you don't get somewhere and stop this foolishness. Y'all, so she was like, well, how soon can you get out here? We'll get back out here. And so he was like, huh? And so he was like, oh, I'll be on the first thing smoking. So I was like, oh, Lord. Anyway, so the detectives, other people at the precinct, they are interviewing this woman who claims to have been on duty the night that Vanessa got into that fight with Kalinda. So she ended up saying that she remembered exactly what Vanessa said. And of course, it's exactly what the recording says about how she'll kill her if she ever saw her again and all this other stuff. So they have somebody who says that they, heard her and all this other stuff and how angrily she said and all that. So I'm like, Lord, you're doing the most. Kareem rolled up to the Wingding place because after a few moments of hearing Vanessa talk about the situation, he kind of spilled the beans about how Jamal was the one who, did what he did to her, which was he knocked her out that night when she was trying to figure out if her husband was still in a room cheating and doing all this other stuff. So she was in her feelings about that. It was like, you knew and you didn't tell me. And so he was like, well, you're not how did he say it? You're not very easy to talk to, just in case you didn't know or something like that. And I was like, Lord. So that's actually where she was that night. Unless it's some kind of way they're trying to fool us into thinking that she basically was in two places at once, then I don't know. But that's where she was that night. She basically couldn't have been the one who killed her. Now, everything that's coming out, it seems as though there's a connection, still a for real connection with the Roxanne woman and just the people who she deals with being the one who's killed the girls off, because her girls are getting killed. That girl is considered to be one of her girls as well. So yeah. But anyway, when Kareem rolled up on Jamal, he, tried to act like he didn't know what was going on. He was like, yeah, I was the one who kidnapped her and all this other stuff. Then he gonna try to switch gears like, I'm gonna get mine regardless. I'm still gonna get mine. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get mine and all this other stuff. And he was in his feelings. And then he gonna read him talking about you a flunky because he, basically is doing any and everything that Marcus throws at him. He's washing his cars and cleaning all, like doing all kinds of stuff. But I'm like, he getting paid for it. And I mean, I would be grateful if I suffered an injury and I didn't have a job anymore. Like I go from the top person in the league to nobody. I would be grateful that the person who now is on top is giving me a job and he's giving me free stuff on top of giving me money for my services. So I ain't gonna sit there and complain about that. But anyway, But yeah, he was like, I don't know. It was just crazy because he was reading him about his position and just called him a flunky and all this other stuff. And you could tell that it is getting to him. So I'm pretty sure this is not going to last much longer. Layla is still at this point at Nia's apartment and she's trying to get in contact with Roxanne. So all three of them ended up appearing at this fundraiser that she said she was at because they got her on the phone. What they did was, she was like, oh, I know what we can do. Layla told Nia to act as if she was a potential client and make up an alias and all this other stuff and request her. So she did that. And in less than 30 seconds, this woman was calling Layla and saying, I think I got a good job for you, all this other stuff. And so this is where she was trying to set her up to be like, well, before that, can I talk to you about something? And so she was like, no, I got to go to this fundraiser first. I got to go to this fundraiser and all this other stuff, but I can talk to you after your date and all this other stuff. So she was like, oh, okay, yeah. So since she was stupid enough to tell her where she was going to be, that's how they set her up. So Layla, Vanessa, and Nia got dressed up and went to this art fundraiser. And it was crazy because a lot of the basketball wives that Vanessa know, they were there and they were looking like, oh my gosh, she's coming in here with her. I can't turn away. Like, it was a lot. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody please. They getting on my nerve. But anyway, they ended up rolling up on her and they made a scene, and it made a big enough scene for her to finally want to go over and take them to the side to be like, okay, so what do you want? And so, to talk to them privately, and, it just wanted to know who were all of these people that are getting killed, and, and who the clients are, or whoever these people are that are killing them or whatever. And so it was bad. It got to a point where Roxanne didn't really want to give up no information and was trying to act as if she wasn't basically a pimp. And she got in her feelings and she got mad, and she gonna sit up there and tell Layla that she's a cheap whore or something like that. So Layla got tired and snatched her up a little bit, and it got a little ruckus kind of broke out. I was like, oh gosh. So they had to break it up and they got escorted out. But before they got escorted out, Roxanne dropped her phone. So Vanessa acted as if, she acted real cool about it. She scooped the phone up, and while they was getting escorted out, she went on by her business. So, she just kept on going. So anyway, meanwhile at the police station, they are, still working on leads for the death of Kalinda, trying to figure out, they're trying to put things together. They're really sitting there piecing things together, and they are really, really zoomed in on the Kings at this moment. So yeah. So anyway, Vanessa is at Nia's house, and Nia, her boyfriend, is there. So what they've done is, since he's there, they're going to use him. They're trying to hack into this phone. So he has this technology that he's using and all that. So before he's broken into the phone, Layla's sitting up there. She's doing things that are like seen by other people that anybody would be able to easily misconstrue as, all right, you trying to push up on my man now, like you doing the most. But see, Nia wasn't in the room at the time, and Vanessa was just looking at her like, girl, if you don't get... But anyway, so he ended up breaking into the phone, but everything basically seems as though it's wiped. So it just seems as though every single time she uses her phone, when she's done with it, she completely deletes whatever's on it. So there was absolutely nothing on the phone. So it's like, dang, what kind of craziness is this? Like, what is really going on to the point of where you have to delete everything that you do on your phone every time you use it? So you are definitely hiding something. So yeah, it's just too much. So I think at this time, this is when, since all of them were there, the detective ended up calling Layla. And so she had him on speakerphone. She was like, hey, and wanted to know if there was any information about Susie's killers or whatever. And so he was like, I wanted to bring you in for questioning. I want you to ID a body for me. And so she was like, oh, okay. So he was like, I'm sending it over to you. So it was the picture that she took of Marcus's behind. And, the only lead they had as far as anything concrete, was that she mentioned in the post that it was like a celebrity basketball player or something like that, a baller. And so he was like, do you know who this is? And so she was like, can I put you on hold for a minute? He was like, that's okay. I just would rather you come down to the station tomorrow and we can have, the full on thing. We can get it for the record. And so she was like, oh, okay. And so everybody was just looking like, oh my gosh. And so this is when Vanessa, it basically dawns on her that her alibi is completely blown. All of their alibis are really blown, because she and her husband have both said, we were both at the house together. We were at home. We wasn't going nowhere. But in fact, that night, when all that stuff went down with Kalinda, he was cheating on his wife with Layla. And that was the same night, like I said earlier, that Jamal, I always want to say Jamal knocked her out when she went into the hotel room. So she wasn't there, but they're going to start, putting things together. And, even the guy was like, unless they're into threesomes and she just wasn't in this part of the picture, then he was there with her and Vanessa was the one who killed her. That's what they want the alibi to end up being, completely just, completely blown. Their cover is blown. All of this is a lie. And everything they want now to just point to her. So yeah, she's in her feelings and she's just like, oh my gosh. And all this came from her just trying to get followers. And it's just crazy. And, when she did go down there, she acted as if she didn't know who it was. So, this was all so she could get followers. And so they were like, oh, so you really were that big of a hoe? And so she was like, yeah, I guess so. I don't remember who it was. So I was like, oh gosh, girl. So anyway, the cops ended up coming to Nia's job and they were like, yeah, we need all of the stuff that you did when you did your interview. It was the interview she did initially with her being Nia. And so she was like, oh, I don't have any notes. I do everything and I remember everything and it's all in my head. And so they were like, well, we still gonna need your laptop. She was looking like. And so old girl was like, well, you ain't get my laptop. Her boss was like, well, they ain't taking my laptop. So they said they need to seize her laptop. So they about to find all kinds of evidence on there. But yeah, like I told y'all before, they had to tell Vanessa that Jamal was the one who attacked her. And they're trying to figure out, well, how are they going to get him to say that that's what it was as far as the alibi? Because everything is going to fall apart. And they're going to be like, okay, since y'all lied about this, it's going to seem, crazy because you were one place, but you're going to try to make us think you were another place. And this is your alibi now. This could all be a lie as well. Like, it's just too many moving parts. I'm just like, oh my gosh, y'all. So what has happened is they are getting a subpoena so that they can get her DNA, meaning Vanessa. A lot of stuff is surrounding Vanessa. So more than likely when I say her, I'm talking about Vanessa. But yeah, they have gotten a subpoena. They're letting her know very soon that she will need to appear the next day and submit her DNA so that they can, see what's going on with that. So Jamal, Hakeem, and Marcus are talking, and Jamal is like, look, in order for me to do this, I need something from you. He want money. So later on, when he tells his wife what the situation is, he was like, I would love to pay him the money, but that's going to look like, it's going to look, how it's going to look. It's going to look really, really bad because he's paying somebody, even though the information is the truth. It's going to look all the way bad, especially if he ends up being the snake that he is and somehow it comes out that he's been paid for. So they're going to be like, oh, so all y'all do is lie all day. Everybody need to go to jail. So, yeah, it just ain't going to look right. So at this point, it's like, I can't pay him. So it's like, wow. So what y'all gonna do though? Like, is this too much? So Nia and Eric are having a moment, and he was like, wow, you're not a killer, you're not mean, you're not all the basically everything that everybody else is all around her. She's not that, and he is very much so happy about it. And they kind of are trying to joke about it because it's such a heavy subject right now. Like, it's just so much going on. But y'all, like I said, they're having their moment, and then Terrence pops up, and so he looked like, really, bruh? And he was like, look, I got bad news. I'm sorry, but I have bad news. And so that's when he was telling her about, the subpoena, because he's in the office eavesdropping on everything that's going on. He's telling her every single detail that he comes across. So, that scene goes away, but, we are able to infer that is what has happened, and they then are told that she's gonna have to submit to the DNA test. So anyway, the day before she's gonna have to submit, they called. I think she's talking to lawyers and all this other stuff and trying to figure out what her options are. So you can see that she's on the phone, and she was like, well, do I really have to do this? Is there no way around this? And so you can tell that she's been defeated, so she's gonna have to go in. So she's in her feelings. And, anyway, Nia and Eric are at the house again, and she keeps pacing back and forth, back and forth. She's so anxious about how everything is going to pan out. And then, of course, it's not perfect timing at all for him to bring up how he can kind of take her mind off of that. And so he's like, what? Because they were in the moment when Terrence popped up. So he was looking like, we can pick up what we left off. And so, ain't nobody thinking about that when you in your feelings like that. So, y'all, Layla is at her house like a dummy. And I guess she had takeout. And she was like, oh, thank God. Whatever. She go over to her little sliding door, and one of the dudes, I guess he African or something. He's something. He at the door, and she like, oh my God. Like, she was like, oh my God, you're trying to kill me. Leave me alone. Like, going crazy. And so he was like, calm down. I just came to give you my condolences for your friend and all this other stuff. And so she was like, I don't understand. What do you want from me? And all this other stuff, y'all. And old boy was like, look, told her the situation, what happened with her. So anyway, what they did was she went out for a job or something. And I guess she felt like she was going to get killed. So she was trying to save her own self. She's like out on a boat. She jumped off the boat. Somebody jumped in behind her trying to save her. And I think she drowned or something like that. But anyway, so that's how she passed away. And she was just like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to die. And so he was like, look, I promise you, I'm going to protect you. And I think that he really is a part of the group of people who were going to be after her, but he felt so bad about the friend dying that he's going to find a way to kind of right the wrongs that has happened. And so he's promising to protect her. And I'm like, well, how are you going to protect her? Okay. Y'all, so anyway, the day has come where she's supposed to submit to the test. So they waiting, and I think she was supposed to be there by a certain time. She didn't show. So they popped up at the house, and, they allowed them to come in the house. And so Marcus came down the steps in his little boot, his foot, ankle, or whatever messed up. So he limping down the steps. And so he goes and greets him. And so they were like, is your wife home? And he was like, nope. He was like, you know where she is? And he was like, nope. Y'all, so he really does not know where she is. And I mean, he apparently knows that she's going into hiding. But, of course, so that he can actually really be truthful about knowing where she is, he doesn't know. So the next episode is going to come on, and he's, in the dark about where she is. But yeah, it's crazy. They came to pick her up, to physically pick her up and take her, but she's not there. She's gone. And in the next episode, Eric, which is Nia's boyfriend, he was saying that basically where she is the last place that people would even think to look. Or it was I don't know if it's an obvious place or whatever. I don't know. It's weird. But I'm ready to see what it's going to do. What it's going to be like. But anyway, y'all, thank you for bearing with me. I've been going through. I'm always going through, right, y'all? Looking rough. But anyway, I hope y'all are having a wonderful weekend, like I said before, and I'll see y'all next time. Have a good night. Bye.